Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome back to more Phoenix Wright Eastern Trials and Tribulations. Last time we left off, we finished the investigations, and now we're moving on to the first part of the final trial. This is going to be the second last episode, because we're going to do the final part of the trial next episode. I know there's two parts, but it doesn't matter. Good morning. Oh, are you by yourself? Morning, Pearls. Mr. Nick, please tell me, what's going to happen to Mystic Maya? I'm sorry. We don't know yet. The investigation is still going on, so I wasn't allowed into the inner temple. Oh, I see. So is Sister Iris still trying to remove those trick locks in the training hall? No, she's the defendant in this case, so she can't be at the inner temple. She's required to be here in court. Then, how come she's not here in the defendant's lobby? I have to admit, it's kind of strange. If you're looking for Iris, she's in the prosecutor's lobby. I knew it! I'm smart! Edgeworth. What's Iris doing over there? She's going over today's testimony with the prosecutor as we speak. Today's testimony? You heard me. Iris is going to be testifying as a witness for the prosecution. Wait, what? The prosecutor is squeezing her for a confession. Oh, so I heard. Princess Yvonne Karma, what are you up to? No. Yeah, I know it. It's Gatto. I know what you're thinking, but Franziska isn't going to be the prosecutor today. What? Then who is? Who else would it be but Gatto? Gatto. Franziska is engaged in some important work at the Sacred Cavern. The Sacred Cavern? You don't mean that she's... Exactly. She's been out there all night trying to remove those trick locks. With the head nun's assistance, naturally. We estimate that the last of the locks should be taken care of in about 3 hours. I hope everything continues to go smoothly and we receive some good news soon. Yeah. Thanks, Edward. Prosecutor Gatto intends to nail this case shut today. Be prepared to fight like there's no tomorrow. You don't have to tell me that. I know. I can already see it in your eyes. You're not the same fever-ridden, frantic maniac you were yesterday. It's strange. On the way here, I decided that today would be the end of all this. Almost immediately after I made the decision, I felt myself getting stronger. Interesting. Maybe you've passed your cold onto someone else. Literally. And with that, I leave the rest in your capable hands, partner. Thanks. Partner. God dang it, Phoenix, you didn't say it! No! Oh, that would have been the best. I still don't have answers to most of the riddles plaguing this case. The circumstances around the murder of Miss Elise Denim. No, I mean Miss Misty Fey. The impossible flight Larry claims to have seen. Yeah, I have no idea what that's about still. And what that woman is really after. She wants control of the clan. I will solve them all and bring this whole tragedy to an end. Alright, let's get into it. February 10th, 10 a.m. District Courtroom. Courtroom number 7. Oh. Oh no! Oh, no, it's fine. It's... Oh, thank God I'm back! Oh, guys, I've been having a vacation, and it was the best, but unfortunately I'm back, so. Court is now in session for the trial of Iris of Hazakura Temple. Your Honor? What do you... Who? Me? Well, my little brother came to visit me in my chambers earlier this morning. All of a sudden, in the blink of an eye, he developed a scorching fever and fainted. Oh, my bad. Therefore, I'll be standing in for him. I see, Your Honor. So they're brothers. That explains a lot. My poor brother. He looked a bit pale. Not to mention sad that he couldn't be here. Whatever. It is impossible to predict what the future has in store for any of us. This is precisely why people feel the need to judge the past. And we of the court have been charged with the solemn duty of passing such judgment. Well said, Mr. Gatto. I understood exactly what you said, at least up until the end anyway. Now then, Mr. Gatto, please proceed with your opening statement. Humans are fragile, fickle beings. Our hearts change with the shifting of the tides. There's only one thing that remains a constant in this crazy world. The bitter darkness that lies at the bottom of this mug. So then you mean... forget it. What do you mean? During yesterday's trial, the accused refused to admit a role in the crime. But today, she's had a change of heart. Sister Iris of Hazakura Temple has a confession to make. Confession? The defendant? Iris, why didn't she discuss this with me first? Very well. This court will now hear the defendant's confession. Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for her name and profession. That's one of my rules.
My name is Iris. I am but a simple nun undergoing training in Hazakura Temple.
Witness, is there something you want to confess to?
Yes, but first, I want to apologize to Mr. Wright. I can't continue lying to everyone anymore.
It's alright. What is it?
Mr. Wright, I have to admit that I did play a part in this terrible incident.
Oh, are you actually confessing? Are you saying that you were the one who murdered Miss Elise and him?
No, I'm not, Your Honor. But I dealt with the cover-up after the murder took place. After her spirit left, I took the lifeless shell of Mystic Elise and carried it to the Hazakura Temple courtyard, where I desecrated it.
What? Order in the court! Order! Witness, are you saying you were an accomplice to the murder?
Yes, that's correct.
What? 3 minutes in court and I'm already covered in a cold sweat. Ha! Everyone on the planet is an accomplice to something. It just happens to be that in this case, it's the murder. Isn't that right, Mr. Trite? That Gatto. So this is the confession they were conferring about. Pains me to say this, but it looks like Iris's testimony was all a lie. God dang it. Now then, little lady, if you don't mind, I've got a question for you. Whose crime were you trying to cover up by your actions? Iris was covering for someone. Now I'm definitely up the creek without a paddle or a life jacket.
I've been at Hazakura Temple ever since I was a little girl. Hazakura Temple is run by one of the branch families of the Crane tradition. One of our missions is to protect the main family.
I'm sorry, but the main family?
Yes, and that's why I would dirty myself, if need be, to protect her. The daughter of the master of the Crane channeling technique. Mystic Maya Fey.
Huh? Wake up and smell the coffee, Trite. She's naming Maya? Order in the court! So not only did you witness the murder, you know the name of the murderer?
I'm terribly sorry, but it's true. I saw her commit the crime with my very own eyes, and then I cleaned up the area to try to protect her.
That's ridiculous. Maya could never do such a... The defense will refrain from commenting until the appropriate time. Now, Witness, let's hear your testimony. What exactly happened on the night of the crime?
Yes, Your Honor.
I thought I was prepared for the unexpected, and I never imagined the case would wind up going in this direction. Oh no, is it gonna be that Pearl did it? Oh no, that's gonna be sad.
I went to the inner temple that night and saw it all happen in the garden. I saw Mystic Elise strike Mystic Maya with her staff. While Mystic Maya was still stumbling, Mystic Elise moved in to deliver a fatal strike. Mystic Maya tried desperately to defend herself and stole the weapon. It was only in self-defense. You can't blame her for it.
So it was in self-defense?
Yes, Mystic Elise was the one who attacked first. That's why I tried my best to protect Mystic Maya.
You moved the victim's body to the temple so that Maya wouldn't be suspected. Isn't that right? Not bad, but you got the instincts of a true criminal. Something's not quite right. I'm sure it was established yesterday that Iris never went to the inner temple that night, and that the person who did go was that woman. Are we seriously? We know who it is. Iris even admitted it. Now then, Mr. Wright, please proceed with your cross-examination. Do I have anything that just immediately says, like, that's incorrect? She moved in to deliver a fatal strike?
Yes, I'm sure of it. She threw down her staff and reached into her robe for a weapon.
Oh, wait a minute. What was this weapon?
It was some kind of dagger.
A dagger, huh? And Elise Denum tried to stab her with this weapon? To kill Miss Fey?
Yes, exactly.
Ha! You look like I did after I mistakenly took a swig of Worcestershire sauce. I can read. You have a problem with the testimony we're hearing from your client, lawyer boy? Do I have a problem with Iris' testimony? Yes! Your Honor, I have a small problem with the witness's testimony. You do? But this witness is your own client. Yes, well, nevertheless. That's fine. Witness, let's add your last statement to the testimony.
Yes, sir.
Hey, just a moment. It's my job to say that.
Listen, Gramps. I won't say it again. Final judgment will be rendered by me.
Okay, now let's continue. She threw her staff away and pulled a dagger from inside her robe, except that doesn't make any sense, because she had this! Sister Iris, there's something strange about your version of events.
Huh?
Mr. Nim throwing her staff away makes no sense at all to me.
But all you can do with the staff is hit somebody.
Naturally, you wouldn't know this, Sister Iris, but the victim's staff had a special feature about it. As you can see, it's a sword. If Elise Nim really had wanted to kill Maya Fey, she wouldn't have needed to use a separate dagger, not when she already had a beautiful blade in her hands already. Well, Sister Iris, what do you have to say? That was an impressive bit of investigating, Wright. I never would have thought there was a sword in that staff, but even so, how should I put this? A long sword is unwieldy and thus quite ineffective in close quarters combat. Maybe that's why she chose a dagger over a blade. Well, anyway, the type of weapon she chose to use isn't what's important. The important thing is that she tried to kill Maya Fey. As long as there's nothing strange about that, there's no more problem with her testimony. But there is something strange about this whole testimony. Well, Mr. Wright, the prosecution has a point. Very well, Your Honor. The defense will now present evidence to back its argument.
Mr. Wright.
I have here another piece of evidence that shows this testimony can't be trusted. Because Miss Elise Nim would never attempt to take the life of Maya Fey. Because she's actually Misty Fey. Elise Nim would never have attacked Maya Fey.
How can you be so sure?
Because the victim's real name was not Elise Nim. Her real name was Misty Fey. Fey?
No. Not Mystic Misty Fey.
Who is this Misty Fey? Is she related to... Misty Fey is the master of the crane channeling technique. She is also the mother of Maya Fey. Oh, are you serious?
Is it really true, Mr. Wright? Was Elise Nim actually the great Mystic Misty?
There's no doubt about it. Looks like Iris had no idea.
I can hardly believe it.
The idea that she would try to kill her only daughter, one she hadn't seen in 17 years, perhaps the prosecution can offer some explanation for why she would do such a thing. Order on the court! Upon first hearing the witness's testimony, it seemed natural enough. However, in light of some facts that have just been presented, 1. That the victim supposedly threw away a sword during a fight, and 2. That the people battling to the death were mother and daughter, despite the facts being believable when taken on their own. When taken together, the entire story seems difficult to believe.
Listen, there's nothing in this world that is impossible, except for one little thing.
Yes? What is this one little impossible thing?
Ha! You still don't get it? You think maybe my beans are under-roasted, but you have no idea, Gramps.
Could you get to your point?
I heard this witness's confession this morning, just as I had taken the first sip of my 8th coffee of morning coffee.
You're going to ruin your health, my friend.
Anyway, after hearing this woman's confession, I had a detective who loves to investigate sent to the scene of the crime. And he discovered this little beauty.
Is that the dagger the witness testified to seeing?
Obviously, Your Honor. But, do you not notice something else?
Not to mention it. If you look closely, there appears to be a blood stain.
Where did you find that? I didn't see that when I investigated the crime scene. Did you investigate the pine tree at the crime scene?
Huh? The pine tree?
The dagger was stuck on the backside of the pine tree when the last blow was struck, ending a violent battle between the two women. This little baby was thrown in the direction of the back of the pine tree.
Which means the blood on this dagger belongs to the victim, correct?
Ha! Were you even listening, old man? I first heard this confession this morning.
just as I had taken the first sip of my 13th cup of coffee in the morning. Didn't you just say it was your 8th a few minutes ago? I didn't have enough time to get the blood analyzed on such short notice. In any case, this court will accept the dagger as evidence. Furthermore, I order that a blood test be performed on it immediately. This is my sweetheart. Make sure you treat her right. Belief, get this piece of evidence of the crime lab for testing immediately. Now then, the testimony we've just heard had numerous unbelievable aspects to it. However, after having found the very dagger the witness spoke of, I believe we can consider her testimony to be credible. Cute girls never lie. Ever. I have something to say to that, but... In any case, witness, if you could please testify again to this court.
About what, Your Honor?
About the incident you saw. The battle between the two women.
Yes, Your Honor.
Alright.
Mystic Maya stumbled briefly after being hit over the head with a staff, but then she dodged Mystic Elise's next attack and stole her weapon. Suddenly, Mystic Elise was the one on the defensive with her back to the stone lantern. That's when Mystic Maya stabbed Mystic Elise. Mystic Elise managed to fling the knife away, but then she collapsed.
That was a very heartbreaking story.
I don't know if there were any bad feelings between them, but it had been 17 years since Mystic Misty disappeared. Perhaps they simply didn't recognize each other anymore.
That seems reasonable. Now then, Mr. Wright, proceed with your cross-examination. So there's one thing that sticks out to me. Go back. You are wrong, and here is why you are wrong. Something about you just isn't right today, Iris.
Huh?
Until now, I didn't think you were the type to make such a careless mistake. However, the testimony you just gave contains quite a few contradictions.
What do you mean? What's so wrong about my testimony?
According to you, Maya Fey stabbed the victim who had her back to the stone lantern, correct?
Yes, that's right.
But in that case, the victim would have been stabbed in the stomach, right? Yes, I think so. But, according to the autopsy report, the cause of death was due to blood loss from a stab wound in her back. This proves that the victim was stabbed from behind, not from the front. Sister Iris, it appears another seed of doubt has sprouted from your testimony. What? What is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright? Ha! It's simple. People are like books. We've all got a front and a back. You get my drift? Is that all you have to say? I can also say that darkness loves to play with the human mind. Could you please knock it off with the cheesy proverbs and illogical metaphors already? The point is, too much of this testimony just doesn't make any sense. Throwing away useful staff, the people fighting being mother and daughter, and now she falsely claims the victim was stabbed in the stomach. There certainly are some inconsistencies. Well, Iris, how about it?
Well, it's just...
If you ask me, you're just being too naive about the whole thing. What do you mean? There are 253 distinct types of bitterness in coffee, but to pick out each one requires total compensation and all use of the senses. Were you really concentrating on what this witness actually said? Prosecutor Gatto, explain yourself! The witness was quite unambiguous about her ambiguities when she said the garden was dark and she couldn't see clearly. A human needs one thing to see clearly, and that is light. Light. By the way, did you know? The inner temple is a rule that on nights when an acolyte is there training, the stone lantern in the garden is to always be lit. I did wonder what that stone lantern was there for. Well, if that's true, shouldn't the witness have been able to see the crime more clearly? Normally, yes, Your Honor, but according to the head nun, Sister Bikini, on the night of the crime, it was impossible to light that stone lantern. Impossible. It hadn't been used in a long time, and the wick was no good. In other words, it had to be nearly pitch black in the garden that night. There could have been a faint light coming from the training hall, but that's all. Most enlightening. Yes, that illuminating fact has chased all the contradictions away. If the staff was dropped, it would be difficult to see. It also explains why they didn't recognize each other. We can't see the demons that lurk in the night. That's why humans are weak. Isn't that right, Wright? No! Order! 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 Here, Your Honor. Let me present the stone lantern into evidence. Maybe it will rekindle the flame of truth in your mind. Why is the judge just sitting there with that look on his face? What's wrong, Your Honor? Was that flame too hot? This lantern. There's something written on it. Why? It's written in blood. Oh boy. The judge didn't know about that yet. Written in blood. It says Maya upside down. What the?
Oh, yes, that's right. After being cornered and then stabbed by Mystic Maya, Mystic Elise didn't fall down right away. She must have been writing that on the stone lantern behind her, with the blood that was draining out of her body.
Certainly looks that way. Hang on just a minute. What are you all talking about? What do you mean, what are we all talking about? We're talking about the message written in blood. Huh, nonsense. This lantern, it's as clean as a whistle. Could it be? He can't see the bloody writing at all? Now that I think of it, he did say something to me yesterday. My eyesight is pretty messed up. Even with these huge goggles on my head, I still can't see everything. So that's what he meant by that. In any case, this is obviously an important clue. We now know that the crime scene was dark, and that the victim scrawled this message on the stone lantern. Well, Mr. Gatto, anything further? Mr. Gatto? Okay then. Let's move on. Gatto is literally shaking, and somehow, I don't think it's from caffeine overdose. I believe it has now been established that Mr. Nim was killed by Maya Fey. That's just wrong. Now it's time to turn our attention to you.
Yes, sir.
After the victim died, you did something, didn't you? Let's hear it. We're all ears.
After Mystic Elise died, I called out to Mystic Maya. I thought it was my duty to protect the future master of the Korean tradition. So I removed the body from the inner temple by myself. I dragged it right behind me all the way across Dusky Bridge. Then I used the snowmobile to carry it back to Hazakura Temple and... I used the Shichishito to alter the way the wound looked.
So you moved the body?
Yes, I was raised at Hazakura Temple. I owe a great deal of thanks to the Fey clan, but even so, I never imagined that Elise Denim was actually Misty Fey. I've committed a terrible sin.
A terrible trick of fate. I believe you're looking for a twist of fate, Your Honor.
I intended to return to the inner temple after taking care of the body, but...
You were spotted by the head nun, correct?
Yes, and that's why I couldn't go back.
Your story makes sense, I suppose. Mr. Wright, go ahead with your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. God, I have no idea. The snowmobile. I knew that would show up sooner or later.
Yes, I had the key. I used the snowmobile to travel from Hazakura Temple to Dusky Bridge.
This is the part that was in question the other day. Should I ask for more details? If you really did move her body by snowmobile, then there should be tracks left in the snow, right? Well, yes, naturally you'd expect tracks. This picture was presented at yesterday's trial. Are these tracks from that ride?
Yes, I think they are.
But I can only see one set of tracks here.
I don't see what's so strange about that. Snow was still falling when I left Hazakura Temple.
I see. Snow was still falling, huh?
And then when the murder took place, it had already stopped. That's why there are such fresh-looking tracks.
How about it, Mr. Wright? What do you think about this testimony? When the murder took place, the snow had already stopped? That doesn't make sense if you stack it up against the other evidence. Your Honor, I'd like the statement Iris just made to be added to the testimony. What? Does it have something to do with the case? All will be made clear if you allow her statement to be added to the record. Ha! This should be fun. You, let's get the snow business cleared up, shall we?
Yes, sir. By the time the murder took place, the snow had already stopped. What? How is that? Okay, I looked up a guide because I was so lost. Oh, never mind. I felt like they were leading me in the wrong direction by giving me that other point. God dang it. That's really annoying, if I'm being perfectly honest. You claim that the snow had already stopped when the murder occurred, but I'm sorry, Iris. That just isn't possible. What?
This is the weather data from the night of the murder. According to this, the snow didn't stop until 10:50 p.m., but you couldn't have crossed Dusky Bridge at that time.
Why do you say that?
Because 5 minutes before the snow stopped, Dusky Bridge was struck by lightning and it caught on fire.
What did you say? The bridge? It was on fire?
You don't mean to say you didn't know about it? It was because of that lightning strike that the bridge burned down.
What? But it can't be.
It looks like you still haven't figured it out. No matter how hard you try to deceive or conceal the truth, you can't pull the wool over the eyes of a real defense attorney.
No! No!
Get out of here, Larry. Order! 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 The bridge was already on fire when the incident took place. That's right, the inner temple was already totally cut off from the outside world. There's no way she could have crossed the bridge, body or no body. Witness, even my patience has its limits. Any further lying and I will find you in contempt of court. Do you have anything to say for yourself? The only person here that is truly contemptible is you. Old man. Me? How dare you? Whether this witness lied or not doesn't mean squat right now. Squat? The important thing now is to find out the truth. Isn't that right? Yes, of course, but whether it was snowing or not snowing, or whether the bridge was burning or not, those are two facts that can't be disputed. First, the body of Elise Nim was discovered in the Hazakura Temple courtyard. Second, the head nun, Sister Bikini, witnessed Iris desecrating Elise Nim's body. He makes a good point on both counts.
That's right. I'm not lying.
What are you claiming this time?
I wasn't myself at all that night, so my memory is still somewhat hazy.
You stood at that witness stand and testified this entire time. Are you telling us now that your memory of the night is hazy? It is only human to err. If you're so perfect, right? Maybe you can explain this for the court. What is it? When the murder happened, the bridge had already burned down. But somehow, the body traveled across the bridge that was found in the temple courtyard. Perhaps you have some kind of perfect explanation for this little magic trick. Well, not exactly, no. I know there must be some other way she got across. No way! You're lying to me. Did they actually fling her over?
That's what I'm thinking.
But unless I can somehow demonstrate it, we'll never know the truth. Looks like the defense is not prepared to offer a suitable explanation. You see what I mean? In other words, you're in no position to suggest that this lady's testimony isn't the truth. Ugh! Alright then. Witness, let's hear your testimony once more.
About what, Your Honor?
You admitted that you moved the victim's body. Nevertheless, your prior testimony contained a rather large inconsistency. Please add an explanation for that to your testimony.
Yes, Your Honor.
Will this be your final testimony? No, okay. I thought we were gonna try and convince them that somehow she flew the body over. Like maybe she rammed the snowmobile into the bridge and sent her flying over or something.
Other than walking over the bridge, there's no other way to move the body. So I must have just gotten confused, I guess. Was the snow still falling or had it stopped? Does it really matter that much? Or are you saying that there is a way to cross a burning bridge?
So it was just a misunderstanding, I see. This is a photo of Dusky Bridge after it burned from the lightning. It was taken on the morning after the incident. Certainly was burned to a crisp. And one of the suspension wires is just gone. It's amazing the whole bridge didn't fall down. Clearly, it would be impossible to carry a corpse across a bridge in this condition. Unless I do something to discredit this testimony, it's going to be deemed as the truth, and Maya will be accused of murder. That's right, I'm only going to say it one more time. It is only human to err, and only humans can spot the errors of our ways. The more sense he makes, the less sense he makes. You're like, why is he trying to help us now? Alright, Mr. Wright, please begin your final cross-examination. Maybe because he knows that Maya isn't the killer, but like, she's not exactly lying either, so it's like, I don't know. There's one thing I can think of. I don't think it'll work, but I really want to try it, so you're saying there's a way to cross a burning bridge? Yep, and Larry told me how. Are you ready to have your mind blown? Oh my god, it worked! Yes! A dead body flying over a burning bridge. I wouldn't exactly rule out the possibility. What? Ha! You're saying it's possible? Don't make me laugh. The only thing that's possible about your claim is that it's been pulled out of thin air. I don't know about that. In any case, we have a witness who did see it happen. Who is it? Who is this witness? Can't check it out here. Gotta keep on the attack and go, go, go. Miss Elise Denim's brilliant and highly gifted apprentice. Larisse Denim. Brilliant. Highly gifted. Apprentice? Remember what he said in his testimony? That night he was at the Mountain Shack, Heavenly Hall. And that's when he witnessed the event. I think you've all seen this sketch before. It's an exact drawing of what he witnessed that night. Are you serious? Today's not April Fool's Day, is it? Mr. Wright, are you seriously claiming the victim flew through the air? Are you using this pathetic scribble to support your argument? Uh-oh. The judge looks like he's about to blow a gasket. Ha! Well, Trite, there's nowhere for you to hide now. Other than looking like it was drawn by a 6-year-old. Does this sketch prove anything? Yes, I'm pretty sure it does, and I'm gonna prove it. Listen, I know your tricks. You're trying to turn this whole thing upside down. If you're so eager to turn this case upside down, why not start with this sketch? Upside down? Why did Gatto say that? Alright then, let's hear the defense's theory. What exactly is this sketch trying to show? I don't think old Whiskerfee's is gonna forgive any more mistakes. Alright, Phoenix, look carefully and think it over. The sketch drawn by Larisse Denim is... It is a complete contradiction, my friends. Something's obviously funny about this sketch. I'm no art critic, but even I can see that. No, that's not what I mean, Your Honor. Larisse Denim stated it over and over, that this sketch was exactly as he... Oh, he was upside down! Why didn't I think of that, if he was seeing it like that? However, if we're to believe his testimony, then the sketch contradicts reality as we know it. Contradicts reality? Ha! This is getting interesting. Looks like you're back to that finger pointing thing again. Okay, Trite, so what exactly contradicts reality as we know it? Okay, it's either the obvious one. I want to say it's like the... It's this wire connected to the bridge. The wire? Ha! Is that the thing that contradicts reality? It is indeed, because if you check this photo... Yeah, they're from under. And show us the reality it supposedly conflicts with. Show us something that will point out how this sketch contradicts reality. I mean, you just gave it to me, dude. Why are you gonna pretend like you didn't? Well, that's a photo of Dusky Bridge, correct? Yes. Now, compare the sketch and the photo for a minute. In the sketch, the wires appear to be above the guard wires. But on the actual Dusky Bridge, jumping Jessafat! The wires are below the guard wires.
What?
Order! 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 This sketch is somewhat different than what's depicted in the photo. However, isn't it likely that the artist just saw it wrong?
Or perhaps he just drew it wrong.
Either way, it sounds like you're just wrong. With someone like Larice, I admit a mistake is a definite possibility. But then that begs the question, why did he make a mistake? What was the reason? Are you saying you know the answer to that? Listen, think back, alright? Remember what Larice was doing when he witnessed this event. He was at Heavenly Hall waiting for a lover that was never going to come. He waited and waited, and he finally laid down. But then, lightning shoots from the sky and sets the bridge aflame. Now ponder what sort of position Larry must have been in at the time. He was lying on his back, which is why I remember the scene the way he did. He was lying on his back. I can't see how it relates, but it does, Your Honor. That is the reason why the wires in the sketch go up instead of down. Oh! No way. Larice didn't witness this event while he was lying on his back, face up. In other words, the scene that he saw was actually upside down. So then, this sketch should actually... I think you finally get it, Your Honor. The correct way to view Larice Denham's sketch is like this. Oh, that makes more sense. This is how it should actually look. The victim's body wasn't flying above the bridge. It was actually swinging below. That's right, just like a pendulum. Order! 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 Of all the things to say, a pendulum? The bridge was burning to a crisp. There was no way to get across it. But if the body had been found at the inner temple, it would have caused problems. This is where the criminal decided to take a gamble. They used the burning bridge to get the body across to the other side, and the pendulum was the only way to get it done. Let's think about this for a minute, shall we? Dusky Bridge is about 20 yards long, which means it's about that far from the inner temple to the opposite cliff. Yes, that sounds about right. In order to cover that distance with a pendulum, you need a rope at least 10 yards long. To get a rope that long, you'd have to plan ahead. The lightning strike that night can only have been an accident, so it doesn't make sense that the criminal would have prepared for the rope beforehand. So then, the criminal... They didn't have to get the rope ready. The rope was already right in front of the criminal. What? I'm saying that it was just a matter of using what was already there. In that case, Mr. Wright, please give us an explanation to support your theory. What makes you think the criminal had the rope on hand to create a pendulum? The burned bridge. And the meaning of this is, if you want to know where the rope came from, it's hanging right there in front of your glorious beard. Ah! This is one of the wires from the bridge. When the lightning struck the bridge and set it on fire, one of the suspension wires came loose from its anchor. The criminal didn't have any time to waste, so they tied the wire around Elise Denham's body and flung her to the other side. Oh my god. That is insane. Because there was simply no other way to move the body. Ha. Mr. Gatto. It seems that Mr. Gatto is more focused on his coffee than answering my question. It seems that the odds of a rope being readily available were very high, so I suppose it's not an impossibility after all. Possible or impossible? That's not the question we need to ask. There's only one question. Did that really happen? Trite. I wonder if you can prove what happened to us. Do you have any actual proof that the body was swung over like a pendulum? Why, in fact, I do. Because of this. Boom! Before I present my evidence, let me review what we know so far. According to this photo, one of the wires snapped. Looking at the map, we can see it's the only one that was in front of the inner temple. So then, that was the spot where the criminal... Yes, precisely. Now let's consider the body's movement by looking at the overhead map again. The body was pushed this point from here. It would drop on the opposite bank at approximately this point. Did you say drop? Well, they must have failed to catch the body on the other bank. What? What makes you say something like that happened? Because I have evidence that suggests her body dropped some distance.
What kind of evidence?
Take a look at this autopsy report. Oh! That makes sense. It says here that her body fell about 10 feet after her death. 10 feet, huh? It's most likely the height difference between the two sides. The body overswung due to forward momentum, but then came loose and fell about 10 feet. And then, as a result of the landing impact, this crystal sphere was knocked loose.
That's...
Yes, this bloodstained amethyst crystal. It's the one that came off Miss Elise Denham's staff. And even more important is the place where this crystal sphere was found. Indeed, I believe it's already marked on this overhead map. The crystal was found... Ah! Precisely, Your Honor. In this very spot, where the pendulum would arrive if given the right amount of speed. This explains your theory quite well, Mr. Wright. You provided us with a way the body could have been moved that night. An impressive deduction, Mr. Wright. Most impressive. Mr. Wright!
I thought this cold coffee might help cool you down.
What is the meaning of this, Mr. Gatto?
That was a dark and bitter guess that you made, Trite. But you forgot about one thing.
Oh, and what would that be?
The aroma.
Huh?
The coffee's most reliable accomplice is its deep and profound aroma.
The rest of the court doesn't speak Coffinese. Can you elaborate a bit more?
The criminal had sent the body to the other side, like you say. Then naturally, there must have been an accomplice laying in wait to catch it.
An accomplice?
The criminal wasn't able to cross Dusky Bridge, so who collected the body? What do you have to say about that, Trite?
Mr. Gatto is correct. This can't be the work of a single person. Well, Mr. Wright, you know what you must do.
Yes, Your Honor. The body couldn't have made it to Hazakura Temple without an accomplice.
Very well then. If you please, Mr. Wright. Who was the person that received the body on the Hazakura Temple side?
It was Iris. I'm calling it right now. It can only be you, Sister Iris.
Huh?
But I don't see why you're so surprised. The only way to transport the body from Dusky Bridge is by snowmobile. But with her bad back, Sister Bahidi could never pick up a body like that. You're the only one that could have managed it. Trite, were you even listening to the witness's testimony? On the night of the crime, this little cutie pie was on cleanup duty in the inner temple garden after the mother-daughter bloodbath. I haven't forgotten, but have you, Mr. Gatto? This witness was also seen at Hazakura Temple, desecrating the corpse of the victim.
Strange indeed. It's almost as if, on that night, the defendant was in two different places at the same time.
Sister Iris, let me ask you something. Why didn't you mention it when you first gave your testimony?
Mention what?
The pendulum, of course, using the sketch drawn by an eyewitness. I've established how the body was moved using the burnt-out bridge, which means it's now a fact that this occurred, something you should have already known.
No, I had no idea. I didn't know anything about a pendulum.
But the body couldn't have been passed along to the other side without your help, so you should have known about it. In fact, it'd be impossible for you to be clueless about this whole thing. Unless you're not really Irish to begin with.
What? How can you say that, Mr. Wright?
What? What kind of nonsense is this? You are saying this witness isn't Iris of Hazakura Temple?
Are you serious, Trite? You mean this woman is...
He already knows who it is. There's no one besides Iris that could have received the corpse that night. Now I get it. Now I know why I've been sick to my stomach during this trial. Why her whole demeanor changed so suddenly from yesterday. And why she's trying to pin this murder on Maya. You're Dahlia, aren't you? The woman that's standing there at the witness stand. Her real name is John Cena! Da, 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 da. No. I never thought I'd have to utter your name again, let alone see you. It's been a long time, Dahlia Hawthorne.
Hawthorne?
Sister Iris had a twin sister, and you're looking at her, Miss Dahlia Hawthorne.
That name rings some bells.
Distant bells, but bells nonetheless. Ha! It's just her imagination, Gramps. The
file contains all the relevant data about Dahlia Hawthorne. Oh yes, I remember now. That case, 5 years ago.
My name is Dahlia Hawthorne. I just want to say, it's an honor for me to be here in your noble presence.
The honor is all mine. Oh, the honor is all mine. But, according to this, Dahlia Hawthorne is already dead. It says her execution was carried out last month. So what? Death has no meaning in this courtroom. What? Order, order, order!
Wait a moment. How can you? My sister, she's already dead. What kind of...
You of all people should already understand. After all, the blood of the master of the crane channeling technique flows within that body. A crane channeling technique? And where have I heard that before? That's right, you're not Dahlia Hawthorne herself. You're the spirit of Dahlia, currently inhabiting the body of a spirit medium. Maya? Maybe? What an exciting story. Exciting, but quite impossible. You're asking us to buy that Dahlia Hawthorne just happened to be channeled by someone on the very night of the murder to a temple where her twin sister Iris was. Well, if you're gonna put things that way, then yes. We're supposed to believe a coincidence like that just happens? Naturally, it was no coincidence. The whole thing was part of a plan from the very beginning. It's all written here in these instructions.
What's that?
These instructions were written by your mother, Morgan Fay. And part of the plan called for Dahlia Hawthorne to be channeled. That night, there were 2 irises at Hazakura Temple. 2 of them. Even the time of the channeling was planned out, as soon as you hear the lights out bell. In other words, 10 p.m. However, Iris was seen before dinner time. That means the Iris that was at dinner was the real Iris. And the Iris who gave me this hood in the main hall was also the real Iris. Meaning that the Iris Sister Bikini saw at the inner temple was someone else dressed as her, namely, one Dahlia Hawthorne. Do you even know what you're saying, Trite? This whole channeling the spirit of Dahlia Hawthorne business. Yes, it's true that you found plans to talk about it. However, there's one thing that's perfectly clear. The witness currently standing in the witness stand is the real Iris. What? Calm down and remember what you know about the night of the crime. After meeting Sister Bikini, the Dahlia Hawthorne that had been channeled would have been stranded at the inner temple due to the lightning strike. 'Cause it was later that the body was moved by the pendulum. That's right. Naturally, that would mean that the Iris that received the body was the real Iris. Are you with me so far? Yes. After being notified of what happened, the police came to Hazakura Temple's main hall. There they found Iris in her room and arrested her. And ever since, she'd been under police supervision at the detention center. Yes, I saw. Oh, it was when she ran away. I can't deny any of that.
Whew, thank goodness. Looks like he's finally convinced.
But something still seems off, way off. I'm still not convinced the Iris here is the same one from the other night. Ha! I suppose you're about to say something really ridiculous. Like, the real Iris and the spirit of Dahlia somehow switched places. Switched places? To be perfectly honest, there are still quite a few things I don't understand, but I do know that unless we confirm the witness's identity, we can't continue with this trial. Iris doesn't have the spiritual power needed to channel Dahlia, which means they must have switched places somewhere. Well, Mr. Wright, since the time she was arrested at Hazakura Temple, have there been any chances for Iris to switch places with Dahlia Hawthorne? There was one. Your Honor, I think there might have been one chance. Oh? Explain yourself. Yesterday, for a few minutes, Iris's whereabouts were unknown. Unknown? What do you mean? What I mean is, there was a span of time in which Iris was able to move about freely, unsupervised. Well, who was it? Who would give a murder suspect time to move around, about freely like that? I'm sorry, I know you didn't mean to. It wasn't your fault. The person who gave Iris the chance to freely move about was... Where is he? There it is. This is Mr. Edgeworth, isn't it? Your Honor, there was a fairly large earthquake yesterday, was there not? An earthquake?
Earthquake! Oh my goodness, near her temple! This kind of tremor might... How could I have? She fled. She escaped.
We went to the inner temple right away. And it's true, Iris was already there. However, they had already switched places by that point in time. When I arrived at the training hall, I was met by none other than Dahlia Hawthorne. That's quite enough already, Mr. Wright. Now see here. No judge in his right mind would consider the idea of spirit channeling and...
Be quiet.
Oh,
be quiet. It's been a long time, Mr. Judge.
That voice. He's left to ask again.
Upon meeting a beautiful lady, always ask for a name and profession. That's one of my rules. Dahlia Hawthorne. In my current profession, permanently retired.
Ha! So you're not gonna bother hiding your identity anymore, huh?
Why should I? After all, I'm dead. There's really nothing you can do to punish me.
What is going on here? Dahlia Hawthorne. I never thought we'd meet again, and I never thought we'd meet like this. But this time, I'll end it. For her, and for myself. No! Oh, how dare you, game. That's where they end it? Wow. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to have to end this episode here for now, because my throat is killing me. So I'm going to take a quick break, and then probably in a couple hours, I'm going to finish this game up, which will be tomorrow for you. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed, and if you did, leave a like, comment, subscribe, all that fun stuff. So you're going to see more of this awesome game. And yeah, see you in the next video. Peace out!